Now, our today's topic is generating blank data. How to generate blank data? For that, we need to go here in table view, and so we will now focus in exploring variety of DAX functions. You will get sense what exactly this formula language has to offer, and importantly how exactly it can be applied in various visualization. We will now focus on the blank function. Before we get into that, I will draw your attention to that customer table. Please select here, minimize it, and select customer table. So this is postal code column. So you will observe that for all of the rows which are currently available, there is no values for postal code. This is quite common in large data set where some information will be available for a specific instance, and whenever the details are available, it may be important for the analysis. However, in this case of our analysis, well, postal code is not relevant. In that case, we just select and delete it. In case you are wondering why we select it and delete it, so it can be contain some information, doesn't get in the way of our visualization. Well, the answer has to do with performance. For this data have been loaded into Power BI into import mode, which means it's all reside in memory. Given that, it is a best to ensure that only the data what we really required in visualization is loaded into memory. So it helps to trim down our data set and remove any unnecessary columns which are not essential for analysis. So to remove postal code, we just click on it and choose the option to delete. We click here, and we choose the option of delete. When we make this selection, we are prompted to confirm that we wanted to go ahead. And if we go yes, then we are done in few seconds. You can see. Where we just reduce data set, we are ready to use blank function in DAX expression. First, I will tell you where we will apply. In gender column here, in gender column, you will notice that the values in view are either F or M, but in the third row, there is a value of any. And this is where the gender of customer is not known. So it has been listed as not applicable, but consider the case where we want to replace it with blank instance. Before we get to that, let's consider why this might be useful. Well, there are lot of functions which keep blank values differently. Then when there is a value, for instance, there is a count function in DAX which counts a number of cells in particular column which contain non-blank values. If you would like to use those functions to calculate how many customers are there whose gender are not known. However, having the value of NA will not work, not applicable will not work, because this will serve as a non-blank value and will be treated as same as F or M. So for our purpose, let's create a new column where NA are replaced by blanks. For that, what we will do, we will go to table 2. We just go to new column, and as a new column will pop in, I will just fill in values here. Yes, I will just fill in values. I will put the values gender, first we need to delete it. Yes, gender blank, and we are going to use here if function. If We are already familiar with if, so what we will do, if logical test result if true. Similarly, we will put here name of the table customer, and we can see that customer, and there is a condition if true, then value is this, otherwise value is that. So we are putting customer gender is equal to not applicable. If it is not applicable, put it blank. Otherwise, it should be same. So as we do enter, it will work. So before we look into the content of column, let's quickly summarize the DEX expression which we use to create it. So if the values of gender column is any, we will call blank function and it will return blank value in the context of Power BI. And if it is not, then it will not return blank value. We simply use gender column as it is. And now when we look at the gender uh, blank column itself, well, the first two rows have the values of F which match the value in the original gender column here. And for now, third rows have blank. So now we scroll down further and we can see a quick glance. Well, things looking fine or not. For a sanity check, let's just explain the column for gender. We can see here. So where we can see the distinct values here is FMNA. Here we can see upside. Values are FM and NA, and there are no blank here. But in gender blank, there is a blank value for NA. And then when we look at the values of gender blank, well, these are either value F, A or NA. So for that, we can see here values F, M, NA. And if we do it okay, and for sanity check, if we check here, we can see it's a value blank F or M. Significantly, there is no occurrence of NA. And this is how blank value appear here. Now let's get out of this view. Now see how exactly the gender blank and gender column varies in terms of behavior where uh, we use with a count function. So our goal is to figure out how many customers are there in our data set whose gender is known, and we'll try to extract these values from both gender and gender blank. We will create a new measure now, gender count. So okay, just go to table tool and create a new measure. And we will use a DEX expression again. Gender count. I am creating a new measure here where I will use count function. So this will make use of count function, gender count, and first write it count column name. So I am specifying here customer gender. So this is how a gender measure looks like, and new to see what values it returns. Before we get to that, However, I will draw your attention towards the bottom left of your window, which points to the fact that customer table has 5647 rows. So how many of all these rows, how many uh, has gender F, M, or how it's behaving. So for this we go to the report view from visualization pane and we just go to the card view. We just before do going there, we are just entering it. So there is a gender count is there. So we are just going to the report view. For from visualization pane, we just go to the card visual. We did it yesterday. No, we are doing it for customer. First, what we need to do, we just need to remove first the values we are having. So, guys, we are going to cards. As we click on card, uh, a value placeholder is there. So I just resize it so it's get an appropriate size, and that is just display the values of. And what I will do, I'll just make it here, and I just drag and drop to its fields gender count measure. Where is the gender count measure? It's here, and yes, so you can see it. uh, you can see it that it's showing the values 5647 values correspond to the customer, but we know that there is one NA values there, and if you have used the count function to count the valid values, we will need to refer gender blank column instead. So for that we just go ahead and select gender count measure what we created and add it to the gender blank column. So we can do it even here. So what we need to do, we will go to the new measure and we will create a value here. So what I will do here, I will do it to the gender count of customer, which value we really want count. Customer gender blank we really want to count. So as we hit enter, so we will choose a different name. Gender count, let's putting it gender count 1 1 I'm putting here. So yes, gender count 1 1 is here. So let's we resize it again and a card drag and drop simply a card again here. So first what we need to do, a card is preparing question answer, it's a wrong, remove here, and first just resize, you can resize it or already it's really small. We just click here and we just drag and drop card here. So there is a card again. So there are two instances in our data set where the original values are NA, or it may be we have seen one. So what we will do now, if we just drag and drop gender count 1 1 here, you can see it's 4 5 6 4 5. So we can understand that there are two instances, one we have seen and one where somewhere other. So where the original values are NA, but in the gender blank column it's simply a blank value. So now you have the idea how blank function works and also the significantly how count function works, especially with blank values when modeling data with Power BI. So it is important to keep these factors in mind so that visual portray the data as exactly as possible. So this is how count function works and this is how blank function works. So I